side of life. The Todd Starnes Commentary.
Last week, I told you the story of a violent school bus beating. 3 black kids savagely attacked a white classmate while no one intervened. The boy cried for help as he was pummeled, his arm broken. The bus driver radioed for police, said he was afraid they were going to kill the child. But he did not intervene. Yesterday, a Florida prosecutor asked a judge to give the underage thugs probation. Probation. They nearly killed a child, and all they get is a slap on the wrist. Is that justice? Where is the outrage from the nation's professional race baiters? Where are the solemn speeches from President Obama? Maybe justice is not all that blind. The bus driver has also faced criticism for not trying to stop the fight, but he won't face charges. In Gulfport, Florida, it's not a crime to be a coward. I'm Todd Starnes.
Thank you, Todd Starnes. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth, AFR Talk. Well, Hillary Clinton, as stated, showing that she is going to toe the liberal line and the leftist line that photo ID, having to present that, is somehow a law that is designed to suppress minority voting. In fact, when they have these laws on the books, we've seen an increase every year in minority voting. Yet, we still have the critics like Hillary Clinton, who is running for president. Yeah, again, Captain Obvious there. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth on AFR Talk. We now go to another statement that she made specifically toward the lawsuits that have been filed by the NAACP. Remember, she's before the ABA, American Bar Association, yesterday, making this speech. And here's, well, the former Secretary of State and Senator Hillary Clinton. Roll it.
Legislators in North Carolina have pushed through a bill that reads like the greatest hits of voter suppression. Restricted early voting, no more same-day registration, or extending voting hours to accommodate long lines, stricter photo ID requirements that disqualify those issued by colleges or public assistance agencies, and it goes on and on. These are all changes that would have required federal approval under the Voting Rights Act, but now can go forward without scrutiny. By invalidating preclearance, the Supreme Court has shifted the burden back onto citizens facing discrimination and those lawyers willing to stand with them.
If we could get B, I believe, 13 ready, it's Harry Reid. And Harry Reid discussing specifically the president and opposition to the president. Here is Harry Reid. Roll it.
We want to match the stops to where the reports of crime are.
Pardon me. We'll get that clip ready for you as I get the sheet ready. But Harry Reid and talking about the president of the United States and opposition from Mitch McConnell and I believe you will have B15. Let's try it.
They're doing everything they can to make him fail. And I hope that it's, and I say this seriously, I hope that it's based on substance, not the fact that he's an African-American.
Now, this has been a refrain, obviously, from those on the left when it comes to people opposing President Obama's policies. It has also been taken up in laws that actually benefit minority communities only because in those high crime areas, minorities are the most impacted by the criminals. And when crime goes down, law-abiding citizens in those communities, regardless of color, benefit. But it goes to a greater point, and Hillary Clinton went to this idea. The idea that there is a movement in America by the right that does not oppose President Obama for the policies, but they oppose him, they dislike him because of the fact that he's black. And it goes into the idea that they want to suppress voters of color. And yes, it's a meme, but it's one oftentimes repeated. So my question to you is opposition to President Obama, as well as you can comment on voter ID laws, are they a part of racism? Are they coming from a racist point of view? Is it designed to keep people of color out of the political process or not succeeding? 1-888-589-8840. That's 1-888-589-8840. I want at least one line open for someone who says, yeah, Crane, I think so. 1-888-589-8840. Now, what we've seen, be it the elements of the Voting Rights Act struck down, or in the case of Hillary Clinton going forward with the myths of Florida and a whole host of things that have said elections are stolen and there's voter suppression. They can make the claim and then it's investigated, but the claim makes the news, the investigation and the result doesn't. I encourage you to read Peter Curacao. Let's go to the phones and let's speak to David in Ohio. David, thank you for your patience. Welcome. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth. So opposition to President Obama and, for that matter, the laws like voter ID, is this about race?
Not at all, and thank you for taking my call, Crane.
Yes, sir.
I love your show.
Thank
I
you.
come from a background where I know what minorities and mostly illegals say about the government of the United States. And I don't mean to make a long story, but what I have heard pretty much since the beginning is every time in opposition of something that the liberals are not getting, they're going to call the racist card. And I've seen this over and over throughout the last 10 years. And I think it's the same thing. Every time they face opposition, they're going to take the easy way and call it racism because conservative people and moral people feel bad to be called racist when they know they're not.
Mm-hmm.
So
they use that. They use that against them. They use the fact that they're equally outraged about racism and oppose it, and they use that emotion against them by falsely claiming the charge. Is that where you're going, David?
Yes, they keep doing it because it has worked for them so far.
I gotcha, and that's the problem. So how do we deal with that problem? I think we go in a way full frontal with a response. Do not go back and say, okay, you've accused me of this. Go evidence, substance, and also mention the agenda of what the left subscribes to and actually promulgates, which is big government, protectionism for unions when it comes to education, and soft bigotry. Let's go to Judy, Texas. Judy, thank you for your patience. Your thoughts. Opposition to President Obama, as well as the voter ID laws. Is it coming from a perspective of racism?
It's absolutely ridiculous to think that it's coming from a perspective of racism. You see, I have a dream that someday all these people that say these things will actually judge our president based upon not the color of his skin or his charmingness, but on the content of his character. And it has nothing to do with race. I kind of feel bad, in a way, for people of color that they finally got a president that's an African-American president, and he's the bad one. Mm-hmm. Like, it has nothing to do with skin color. Put Ben Carson tomorrow, I vote for that.
Well, then again, you take the substance, and then you take the record, and you take a person like Alan West or Ben Carson, Dr. Benjamin Carson, and what do you have? You have a record that has a foundation that doesn't need a charge of racism when opposed. They can point to the record. They can point to the results. They can point to the history of these policies. So, Judy, I really do appreciate your point. Thank you very much. Great to be with you. Take care. Let's keep going. And 1-888-589-8840. And we go to Al in the great state of Mississippi. Al, welcome.
Yes, I don't know if you can hear me, and I'm in a bad little storm right now, but
okay.
I'm going to say racism under the context of race is still a part of this society that we're living in, and like it or not, the Republicans know really on the whole blacks really won't vote for them. So if they could disenfranchise as many blacks as possible, it pretty much works better for a Republican than it does a Democrat. So in that context, race is prevalent when these laws are being made to sort of like, voter ID laws and things like that.
So they want accountability. Hold on, and I'll let you finish. Just get me here. They want accountability, but they're saying let's target these groups and keep them out because it's worked so well over since they've been implemented. We haven't seen in each and every election an increase in the amount of minority voters. If I don't accept that, I think it's quite frankly, where's your evidence to suggest that this was a plan to keep minorities out as opposed to verification, the kind of which you have to present at a federal building and a whole host of other places to vote?
That's like really,
yes,
what
sir.
they say, it's like sometimes you're looking for a problem. And the reason why to get those voter IDs, people would talk about like a lot of bad things are going on, but that really hasn't been proven, meaning like the widespread use of voter fraud, that really hasn't been proven. So I'm thinking Republicans use that.
Okay, well, then there's evidence, and then we have to go to the evidence. I mean, we can point out initially Eric Holder, and I believe, was it O'Keefe who went in and said he was Eric Holder and didn't have to present the ID. We also have Hans von Spakovsky and John Fund have outlined and detailed evidence of voter fraud, and we've seen it. Nonetheless, if we look at somebody who is voting fraudulently and somebody who is voting legally, and we don't want that accountability, doesn't the fraudulent vote take out the vote of the person voting, the other person voting, regardless of color? Isn't it colorblind? Sir, go ahead.
When Bush versus Gore happened, the Republicans were cool with the way it went down, and the Democrats were kind of upset because a lot of disenfranchised voters turned out to be black.
I got you. So, hey, appreciate your phone call. We have to go. I will just say this. That is just simply not true. The disenfranchisement claims are not true. The rule of law was followed, and you had a lot of claims. I will post the article from the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights on their investigation into that. The more they investigated, the more votes Bush got, by the way. Nonetheless, you can make the charge, but it's, quite frankly, a false charge. And it does more to injure everybody because of that. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth, AFR Talk.